Hello, my name is Ashley from the Fort Myers Seventh-day Adventist Church. And if you've been following us on Facebook or on YouTube, you realize that we are doing a health study, a 7-week health study. And we're going through Ellen White's best-selling book, Counsels on Diet and Foods. And we're looking at the spiritual reasons to be healthy, but also permanent tips and tricks that we can utilize in our life so that not only do we have temporary success, but permanent success. And many of us have already been applying these strategies to our life and been seeing some pretty drastic results. As we're doing this, we're also interviewing different people in the church and in the community about some changes that they've made in their health and what they've done to achieve these lifelong results. So tonight's guest is Kathy Randall. For those of you that might not know her, she also attends the Fort Myers Seventh-day Adventist Church, and she has short blonde hair. She generally sits to the front, to the left. She's accompanied by her husband, Mark Randall, and they're both two of the kindest people I know. She's very much involved in health ministries. In fact, she's the head of it. So if you're interested in volunteering, please come talk to her. And she recently did an interview on a local television channel. So we wanted to just utilize that so that you could meet some different people in the community and you could also hear her story as well. So if you'll just bear with me while I'll pull this up, I'm sure you'll enjoy watching this. And like I said, if you are interested, please come to see her on Saturdays around 11 o'clock at the Fort Myers Seventh-day Adventist Church. All right, thank you for your patience. So just be a minute while I pull this up. All right, here we go. A health interview with Dr. Sal and Kathy Randall.
The two largest employees in Lee County, the school board and the Lee Memorial Health System, say they found a way to save you, the taxpayer, money. And they're doing it one fork at a time. They say they found a lifestyle program that is taking a bite out of the high cost of health care and at the same time making you feel better. And to quote executives, the results are simply amazing.
The only reason I do this is because it gives me an opportunity to give people hope. People don't have hope anymore. They've tried and failed.
Kathy Raynard is a CHIP instructor. She explains why the more emphasis you put on vegetables, beans, and grains, and the less on meat and dairy, the better you'll feel. You can reverse chronic diseases like hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes.
You can choose to eat what you want, but the education kind of helps people see that what they've been doing potentially is the reason for their chronic disease, and they have the ability to change that.
Lee Memorial Health System put the CHIP program to the test. What they discovered was a remarkable turnaround with the health of their employees. After 12 months, for every dollar LMHS spent on helping employees live a plant-strong diet, they saved $2 in healthcare costs, with some added benefits.
One of the things that they've told us is that their energy level had increased dramatically. So we know that from that perspective, they take less time off from work. They are more productive on the job.
We have the ability to help you reverse your chronic disease if you follow the principles we teach.
All right, now administrators say the CHIP graduates look so great and have lost so much weight, there's now a waiting list to get on the program.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Dr. Sal. I'm the Medical Director for Lifestyle Medicine Institute in the CHIP program, and I'd like to welcome you again to this program. Before we get on to the program, just to remind you, there is a poll that if you can put in your answers, whether you're a CHIP participant, a facilitator, a volunteer, or if you have not been involved in CHIP. Actually, for the individuals that have not been involved in CHIP, there is an offer today to participate in what's called Meal IQ. This is a new program. It's a new app that's going to be available to people that have not been involved in CHIP in the past, and it's going to help us decide what program we're going to be using for CHIP in the future. It's a meal planner, basically. So you'll be able to put in information about what you're eating, get recipes, get information and education. So if you've not been participating in the CHIP program already, you can send me your name and your information so that we can contact you and get you involved. My information will be available on the screen at the end of the program. So thank you again for being here, for everyone being involved. We, as always, have fabulous people participating in this program, and it's really interesting. You never know when someone's going to enter into your life that significantly changes your life. And today's guest for me is one of those individuals in my life. Kathy Randall is the person that I describe as the chip guru in Lee County. Kathy has been an inspiration to me, and I met her a number of years back when she came to Lee Memorial. That was called Lee Memorial at that time. It's called Lee Health now. Telling me and a few other people in the health system about this CHIP program, this Complete Health Improvement Program. And Kathy was saying that it provides the fabulous clinical benefits and you get this major return on your investment. And it actually took Kathy about 2 years to convince us, for us to smarten up and realize that what she was saying was actually the truth. And after about 2 years of Kathy coming around over and over again, and she would always bring us food, which was really great, we decided to try the program. And as was mentioned in the opening trailer, we actually found that we had significant clinical improvements. We had significant financial improvements on our health plan. And since then, we've actually done 19 programs. Since April, actually, I left Lee Health and I started my own concierge lifestyle medicine program in practice. And we're currently running a CHIP program in the office. We have 10 people coming in wearing their masks, and I do the same, but participating in the program. So Kathy has been one of those individuals that certainly has changed my life, and I'm anxious to get her on the program. So let me read you her bio. Kathy actually has a Bachelor of Science degree in education. She is the mother of 6, as she describes them, healthy plant-strong children that she raised. She's been a whole food, plant-based nutrition educator since 1978. She's a certified CHIP program facilitator and area developer for the state of Florida. She's certified in the program, the Food for Life program, as an instructor for PCRM, which is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And she teaches the principles of lifestyle medicine, which encourages whole food, plant-based lifestyle with daily exercise, lots of water, and stress reduction. So we have a lot to talk about. So Kathy, hello today. How are you?
I'm just fine, Dr. Sal. I'll be happier when this is all over with. It was making me a little nervous.
Nothing to be nervous about. Like I said, you've probably spoken to tens of thousands of people over your career. So tell me how you got involved in lifestyle medicine to start.
Well, back in 1978, I became a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. And one of the tenets of the Seventh-day Adventist Church is lifestyle medicine. Mm-hmm. I was fascinated with this. And after about a year of study, my husband and I took our children and we moved to one of the original lifestyle medicine centers in the United States. That center is located still in Seal, Alabama, and it's called Uchee Pines. The founders of Uchee Pines are Dr. Calvin and Agatha Thrash, and they became my mentors and lifelong friends for several years. We lived at Uchee Pines for about 2 years, and while we were there, we saw miracles of healing, letting food be your medicine and your medicine be food. And it just inspired me to continue to share as much as I could over the years these principles, and realized this was long before the Adventist Health Study came about, but these folks were pioneers. In fact, they probably wrote the first oil-free, eat for strength cookbook.
Wow.
Whole food, plant-based, no dairy, oil-free, back before SOS became popular.
Wow.
So they are very, very special. They're both passed away at this point. But that was the history of how I got involved in lifestyle medicine.
Wow. So this really has been initially, actually, it was a personal passion for you before it really became part of your career professionally.
Absolutely.
Tell us more about raising 6 plant-strong kids.
Well, back then in the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and 90s, I was just weird. I was different. I did everything different. And now I'm trendy and I'm in vogue and I make money doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So God is blessed abundantly. But my passion for lifestyle medicine was really spurred on by my family history. Mm-hmm. My sister died at 62. My brother died at 51. My mom and dad suffered from a lot of diseases. And while we were at UT Pines, my mother and dad came as guests, patients, to stay there for a while. They had kind of seen what I was into and thought, oh, what is she doing now? You know, but anyway, so they came. My dad came to accompany my mother. My mother had COPD, was functioning with one lung due to tuberculosis when she was young. Also had cancer previously. She came to UT Pines carrying her oxygen, barely getting from the parking lot to her guest room. And after, 2 or 3 weeks, all of a sudden, my dad, stubborn Irishman, saw this great improvement in her. And he thought, and he'd had a triple bypass already. So he thought, well, maybe they can help me. So he signed in as a guest. They stayed several more weeks, and they greatly, greatly, greatly improved. They went back to Florida, started eating whole food, plant-based, walking on the beach in the morning, employing the lifestyle principles that they learned. And then summertime came, they were snowbirds. They went back to Michigan, reverted back to their prior lifestyle. A few years later, my dad had another triple bypass. And that experience has just given me an unsatiable passion to share the principles of lifestyle medicine. And at that time, I didn't want to push your ideas on somebody else. So I was a little reticent. I'm not reticent anymore because lives are at stake. And we have something with the CHIP program that can save lives.
Right. And it's interesting because really what you describe as so-called family history is really their lifestyle, which really led them into a lot of disease and disability and probably early death because of that. So for the patients that we both see that say, well, I'm developing heart disease or high blood pressure or whatever because of this family history, and they equate family history to genetics and heredity, that's not the case. We know very strongly that this is lifestyle. These are all lifestyle-related diseases. And as we teach, lifestyle causes the problem, but also lifestyle fixes the problem. And as you just mentioned so clearly, and we use these terms over and over again, food is medicine, lifestyle is medicine. We really have to focus on those things and really looking at the evidence, the clear evidence that lifestyle in many cases is more effective than medicines and procedures and surgeries. So kudos to you for being the health nut that we all are. And, I really dislike that term, but people need to realize that the individuals that are the so-called health nuts are really the smarter people in society, because I think that they really have focused on the one thing that should be the number one priority every single day, because you can't do anything else without your health.
Absolutely.
So your passion went from a personal passion to a professional passion, and tell us your transition into the CHIP program.
Okay, well, in 2007, two very good friends of mine, Cynthia Witter, who was the wife of a retired OBGYN, and one of my very best friends, Sandra Koliniadis, were introduced to this CHIP program. At that time, I was working full-time. The kids were getting a little bit older, but I was still very busy. And they talked me into becoming the nutrition coordinator for the CHIP program at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, at this time, this was a volunteer program run by a team of volunteers. But because it was the complete health improvement program, scientifically documented, with lifestyle solutions to change people's lives, reversing chronic disease, giving people hope, it was a no-brainer that this was something that I needed to do. I had done cooking classes in my house and stuff like that, but nothing professionally that was complete, the whole program in one package. And so I did that. And then in 2011, I attended a conference. It was called the CHIP Summit at Loma Linda University. And at that time, they had asked me to talk a little bit up front, and they kind of said, boy, she's an edutainer. We could use her in this. So they offered me a position to be a trainer, training other CHIP facilitators, as well as to develop CHIP in this area. and just to do all I could to share this program as much as I could. So in 2012, I started knocking on the door of Lee Health, brown paper bag
Yes.
with no, whatever I had, homemade.
Bread, homemade bread.
Didn't stop me whether it was the 5th floor or the C-suite. I went.
Right.
Because I knew that this was something they needed to learn. And I was told at the time, you consultants come here and you got this big ticket program and we sign the papers and then you're out the door and we never see you again.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of that conversation, I got a colleague who I was training with, Stefan Herzog from Australia, amazing businessman.
Right.
He said, let's go talk to him together. So he came, we spoke to you all together, and we made an agreement. We'll do a pilot for 30 people, no cost to you. I'll do it for free. They just paid for the books or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made an arrangement that we would split whatever Lee Health saved on their healthcare claims 12 months post CHIP.
Right, right.
Needless to say, it was a very lucrative investment for us. And at that point, Lee Health started training their own people or I trained their people and they did it in-house.
Right.
They no longer use me anymore. But since that time, I've done approximately 2 CHIP programs every year for the last 12 years myself.
Yeah. The details are important because I think what it tells the audience is that, number one, persistence is really important. When you believe in something, you have to persist at it and really try to win people, into the choir, as they say. But one of the things that you mentioned before that is important to me to reiterate is, it's important for us to hang out with people in our own tribe.
Right.
And when you associate with people that are like-minded, I think you can really spread the value far and wide, because really it is important for us to bring more and more people into the fold, as they say, and help more and more people understand that health is something that you can't ignore. The newspaper article that I put in the news press this week was about complacency. I think with the pandemic right now, a lot of people are getting complacent again and not wearing masks and not socially distancing. But even more importantly, and you see this even before the pandemic, people get complacent about their health. As you mentioned, your mom and dad going back to their old ways. They moved out of Florida again. They went back to their old ways. They became complacent with their health, and the health declines again. So we really have to be careful to always encourage people to continue on that road to healthy living and really sticking with that. You have a passion for CHIP specifically, and you have tremendous experience as a CHIP facilitator and a Food for Life facilitator and all. What's your advice to people now that are CHIP facilitators?
I just say to them, you have got to walk the talk as much as you possibly can. Be plant strong, be experiencing the same things that your participants are experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're teaching Jumpstart, you do Jumpstart with them.
Right.
And, be part of what they're going through. I've learned over the years not to be too dogmatic. Oh, you must do this and you must do that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. You turn people off. They've got to have freedom to choose. So we have kind of adopted the good, better, best. Best is whole food, plant-based, very minimal oil, not too much salt, avoid the sugar. But that's ideal.
Right.
If you can't land there, at least land somewhere.
Right.
Employing the principles that we're giving you. Persistence, as you can see, is very important. And I know this program, it's blessed. I was able to bring CHIP to Lee County Public Education Center because somebody that was in my classes at Lee Health when she was an employer there took the job as wellness director at Lee School. So it all worked. These people have been put in place. I like to call them, they are our health champions.
Yes.
And Dr. Sal being the guru of the health champions. But we need them. We've got to find them. And as a facilitator, you have to find them and then bring them food if you need to. On the team. And they, as well as your participants, become your ambassadors to fill your classes. It's just really, really important. And, you know, I've found that there is no stone that I leave unturned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wherever I am, even when I don't intend to, it happens. I'll tell you a little story. I was in Leesburg this past weekend. Two of my grandchildren had a performance. They do silks, you know, those silks that hang from the ground. They do
Yeah,
those babies on.
hang on them.
I was there. We went out for dinner afterwards. There was a gentleman with us at dinner, and he was a big guy, you know. And on the way out, my daughter-in-law said, yeah, he's kind of interested in whole food, plant-based. That's all I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Before we left, I walked to his car with him. He had my card. I gave him a book. He contacted me Monday. He said he's interested, but you have to talk to people. And if
Right.
you care, you will.
Right.
So I just think that's really important.
So for people that are considering doing the CHIP program, what's your advice to them?
Just do it. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. And
Right.
I do have one other little story I'd like to tell you. I had
Please.
a student participant, and she was a young woman, about 34 years old. Her family was just riddled with breast cancer, mother, sister, father. And this young woman had two children, two boys. I think they were 8 and 10 years old. And she'd had a hysterectomy, a double mastectomy, and she was in my CHIP class. And her attitude was, this is going to happen to me. I'm going to face it. So it was doom and gloom. She went through the CHIP program and she left and she told me, she said, Kathy, I have hope now. I have some control over what's going to happen in my life.
Right.
I don't have to succumb to what everyone else in my family has. And what you think has such an effect on your physiology. So it was so very, very, very relevant for her to be in the class and to share with others the hope that she gained from it.
Yeah.
So if you're considering CHIP in any vein, self-directed, live, Zoom, whatever, do it now. Every day counts and every meal counts.
Yeah.
And we have on the line another facilitator, Mary Ann Parsons.
Yes, let's bring Mary Ann on.
Her story, and she's been a colleague and a friend ever since she went through CHIP, and one of my best friends now.
All right, let's bring Mary Ann on. Hello, Mary Ann.
Hello, hello.
What a blessing. Mary Ann and her husband went through CHIP quite a while ago, and she'll tell you about that. But she since has become manager of Southwest Florida Veg Fest and planning a restaurant, vegan restaurant week, all because she went through CHIP. And she will tell you how it changed her lifestyle and created a friendship, which I really, really, really value.
So she's going to tell you about Lifestyle Solutions Healthy Planet, probably. We transitioned from the Southwest Florida Veg Fest to Lifestyle Solutions Healthy Planet. And Mary Ann is one of the champions for leading the way in Lee County to make this county healthier. So thank you for being here, Mary Ann.
Oh.
Nice to see you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Dr. Sal.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Kathy, for your friendship and for being my role model, actually. What I want to share with the group that's on our webinar today is my experience taking CHIP over, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago now, and what CHIP has really meant for me, my health, and my husband's health, and the health of our family, too. So before CHIP, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. I was overweight. I had lots of thyroid issues. And so the doctors wanted to stack me up with a whole bunch of written prescriptions, metformin, thyroid medication. My husband, about the same time, also got bad news. I think we were turning like right around 60. And he had high blood pressure and all sorts of other issues. So we both decided we didn't want to start what a lot of older people do around 60 is start with a lot of medication. So somehow we were blessed enough to find a CHIP program at Lee Health. And we found Kathy, and wow, our lives have been totally changed around. So my husband and I did take the CHIP class together. Let me tell you, if you're on this webinar thinking maybe you'd like to take CHIP, as Kathy said, just do it. do it. It's going to be the best thing you've ever done. And so, you know, I'm from Wisconsin, so I was vegetarian, so I didn't eat any beef or pork for 30 years. And I thought I was eating healthy, but I was still eating the dairy, eggs, fish, and my health was awful. The doctors, you know, weren't happy with any of my numbers. Well, I didn't know how to cook. And what am I going to cook? So what Chip helped bring home to me is we got to try the food in every Chip class, and it was excellent. And we got the recipes, which was a big help. And I finally discovered that, yeah, you can make really, really good food that is plant-based. So it is, 8 or 9 years later, and we're still plant-based. But right after Chip, my results, my cholesterol before Chip was 225. After the Chip class at graduation, my total cholesterol had gone down to 149. That was incredible. I was no longer pre-diabetic. My A1C today is, and Dr. Sal is my personal doctor. I'm so lucky to have Dr. Sal in my life. My A1C is now 5.6, so I'm no longer pre-diabetic. By the time I graduated from Chip, I had lost 20 pounds. Okay. So now I'm 69 years old, and I'm not taking one prescription medication, none. For chronic disease, I have no chronic disease. I take no medication except for a B12 supplement now and then. So I'm very pleased that I found Kathy. And as Kathy said, she is passionate about what she says and does and how she lives. And that makes a big difference. For those instructors, the new instructors out there, some of you more experienced, you really need what I call is you need to have the fire in your belly, because people will see that, they're going to hear it, and they're going to have similar experiences. Now, through the years, I helped Kathy teach, substitute teach, and volunteer for Kathy, and I've seen so many people walk away with even better results than I saw. I've seen diabetics, for example, who've been on insulin shots for 15 years come off of their insulin, right? I've seen people who couldn't walk a flight of steps to get to the classroom. By the end of class, were actually doing much, much better going up those steps. So it can come down. One of the things that Kathy did in her early, right before graduation, the last night of class, she handed paper, and at the top it has 4 words, because of Chip, I think. So this person said, because of Chip, I do not start the day with a Coke Zero. I start with steel-cut oats and flaxseed, etc. I thought that was kind of humorous. Because of Chip, as another person said, because of Chip, I am able to control my destiny. I have learned ways to increase my intake of whole plants, decrease my processed food intake. Another person said, I've learned that I can make healthy meals, and choose healthy meals even at a restaurant. Here's another one says, and Kathy related to this one, I believe. It's probably the same student, Kathy. Because of Chip, I feel hope for the future. Because of Chip, I have taken control of my health for the first time in my life. So, as Sal and Kathy have said, Chip gives you the tools, the information, the science, and then the decision is up to you. Right? But I would highly recommend, should you take a Chip class or decide to become a facilitator, that you give it that 100%. My husband and I went into our Chip class skeptical. I think a lot of people do. But we decided, hey, if we're gonna really see any benefit, we have to do this 100%.
Right.
So I highly encourage you to, if you haven't taken a Chip class, to do that. If you're a facilitator, you know, really get that passion in your teaching And I want again to thank Dr. Sal and Kathy for their inspiration.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marianne. That's, your story is incredible. The work that you've done in joining this movement in Southwest Florida has been so rewarding for all of us. And we're really blessed to be involved with one another and to have Kathy as really a leader and a champion. I'm looking at some of the questions, and this is wild. We actually have somebody that's saying hello from Nigeria. Obianma, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your first name properly, but this is amazing. We have people listening literally from all over the world now. There's a few people that have signed on from Canada, but there was one other one that I actually want to get to because this is really important. How do you market the CHIP program to a meat processing corporation?
Can I answer that?
Please.
Prayerfully.
Right?
The way I would market it to anyone else, with all the data that we have, the testimonies of people like Marianne, and you have to really care about those people, and then they'll care about what you know.
Right.
That's a principle I'm sure you're familiar with.
That's true. Right. Yeah. If people don't know that you care, they don't care what you know. And that really is so true. And it's really incredible to see how the influence has spread, but how much work we still have to do. We do fight against a lot of enemies, if you will. And still so many people are just so ingrained in the standard American lifestyle and the standard American diet and not really willing or ready or able to change until something bad happens. Similar to the story that you mentioned, Kathy, and Marianne, the same thing. We start out healthy, we end up with an illness, now we're ready to make significant changes. And I think what our message always is why not make those changes before something bad happens? Because it's so much harder to reverse the disease than to prevent the disease. And I think that's the message we continue to give to people. So we're running out of time, but let me give both of you a minute or so to just give a final message. What final message would you like to leave the attendees with, Marianne?
Yeah, I guess if you haven't taken CHIP, I would say just do it. If you're a facilitator, think about bringing in success stories, testimonials into your classroom, because that does help and inspire people to keep going. So good luck to you all.
Thank you. Final word, Kathy?
Well, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we are meant to survive. Our health isn't everything, but everything is zip without it.
Right.
And in terms of my experience with CHIP, never has anyone come to me after doing a program and saying, that was a waste of time. I wish I hadn't. There's some people that don't do a whole lot then, but they have the tools in their toolbox and they know what to do when their mind is ready to make the changes. So there have been no regrets over all these years that anyone has expressed to me. That's powerful. Get on board.
Right, exactly. So I want to thank you both for all of your words and your encouragement and being role models for healthy living. Again, the programs are recorded, so you can go back and listen again. And we have, in addition to today, we have had the most fabulous people on the show. We have another great person coming on next week. Let me show you his book, and I'm sure that everybody knows who he is. We have Dr. Esselstyn on the show next week. So we get the rock stars on the show, and it really is amazing to see how everybody's willing to give their time and their testimonials and their lives to helping other people succeed. So thank you again, Kathy. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Daryl. Make sure you put this on your agenda for next week. If you have not read Dr. Esselstyn's book, and if you don't know his information, his clinical information about how he helped his patients reverse their coronary artery disease, you need to listen to the program and read his book. So in closing, let's have a great, healthy week. Thank you for everyone being involved. God bless you all, and we will see you next week. Thank you again.
Thank you, Sal.
Bye-bye.
I just froze it on the screen there. That way you can see Dr. Sal's phone number and email if you're interested in getting in contact with him. You can also check out Ask Dr. Sal Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope you enjoyed that. That was a triple interview instead of just one. You got to hear from 3 people involved in CHIP. And like I said, if you're interested, come talk to Kathy Randall at church. She's generally there, rain or shine. She would love to talk to you and give you more information. And if you're interested in joining us, we meet every Monday night on Zoom, 6 to 7. We start, we end on time, and we go through various ways to improve your health, whether it be through diet, through exercise, through food combinations, through meal spacing and timing. We cover it all, and we do it in a very practical and simple way so that hopefully you can apply it to your life. So thanks for coming out. We hope you have a very safe and a very happy week. Goodbye.